Sometimes being remembered can be for good or bad reasons. For some emperors who ruled ancient China, their names are never forgotten, not because of the marvelous things they did during their reign, but because of all the horrible actions they put their people through. However, these rulers are given power over their people and often use this authority to manipulate and take advantage of those under them. From killing prisoners for entertainment to mass murder, these emperors, known as the Sons of Heaven, brought hell to the country. Over the years, China has witnessed over 67 dynasties and 446 emperors, and today, I will be talking about some of the most intriguing Chinese emperors who literally brought their nation down and were remembered for the damage they did. Welcome to Crazy Histories, where we bring you the craziest and weirdest facts from human history. Some of the things discussed in this video may be offensive or disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. GAO Yang. There was a time in ancient China when terms such as perverted dynasty, scum family, and crazy family were used. All of this slander was directed at Emperor GAO Yang of northern Qi. Before he was dubbed one of the most insane rulers that sat on the throne, the people of northern Qi expected him to be their emperor. In fact, he was described as wise and divine. He also managed the nation in a very orderly manner and did a very good job as an emperor. However, things took a wrong turn when he suffered a nervous breakdown and ultimately lost his mind. Being crazy is bad enough, but being a crazy emperor is worse. This is who GAO Yang became. It started with random appearances in town, wearing festive costumes or nothing at all. These actions are only the tip of the iceberg. The most horrific display of power he made was when he killed people as a joke. He would often display a long saw, file, and hammer at arm's length, and would grab these weapons when he was drunk and commit murder like it was the most normal thing an emperor would do. Records show that he would kill from morning to night. It got so bad that guards would immediately bring out prisoners once the emperor got drunk. When this happened, GAO Yang would kill the helpless captives from dusk until dawn. Yang Guang. Emperor Yang of Sui is dubbed one of the most controversial emperors to ever rule China. Before he led his empire to destruction, his people had expected a lot from him, especially after his father left a huge sum to make sure that the kingdom would remain prosperous for more than 60 years. But Yang didn't take advantage of that and implemented policies that killed most of his people. It was enough to bring the once prosperous and abundant nation to its knees. Emperor Yang initiated wars as a strategy to conquer other nations. However, it carried consequences for civilians, not to mention how the large infrastructures he built were deemed nothing but a waste of money. It even led to a massive death toll because of the heavy work the buildings required. His end was as terrible as his reign. He and his son were assassinated by the army and were buried very poorly in a coffin next to the queen. Emperor Yang was never remembered as the dignified emperor he once was. King Zoo of Xiang. Rumors say that King Zoo of Xiang is the worst of the worst. Most say that he was the craziest madman in ancient China, whose lunatic experiments drove his kingdom to its downfall. So, what are the things he did to be called such? Well, the record revealed that he was very fascinated with biology and human anatomy. This obsession soon escalated, and the gruesome experiments began. He started ordering agents to dissect people within the kingdom, just to satisfy the emperor's curiosity. Because of his curiosity, the king once decided to amputate the legs of a farmer in order to know whether their limbs had any anatomical advantages that could help them in the soggy rice paddies. Similarly, he also ordered the murder of individuals of various intelligence levels so he could compare their organs to determine whether there was any significant difference in their body composition that could explain the contrast in the way their brain functions. These experiments are recorded in the Book of Documents, also known as the Most Venerable Book. Based on the book, King Zhu gruesomely cut open the bellies of pregnant women. It didn't even matter if you were a commoner or a noble person. As long as King Zhu wants to cut you open, you don't have any choice or even a chance to escape his crazy antics. Mao Zedong. Historians have revealed that Mao Zedong's legacy is nothing more than mass murder. Based on the book, Black Book of Communism, an estimated 65 million Chinese people were killed during Mao's time as emperor. This huge number of deaths was a result of his attempt to create a new China. Thus, anyone who says otherwise or gets in his way is killed without mercy. In order to fulfill his dream of recreating the nation, Mao Zedong declared war against any form of teaching because he believed that the number one enemy of his new China was intellect. He even boasted about it and declared how he buried more scholars as compared to Emperor Shi Huang of the China dynasty. Aside from suppressing his people, he also drove them to death through hunger. This was the most heinous example of Mao's disregard for human life. In fact, he was the reason behind the worst famine in recorded human history. This was a deadly combination of false claims about grain production, disastrous farming practices, and unequal distribution of food. The number is crazy. It was recorded that the casualties were between 30 and 40 million people, overall between 1959 and 1961. Fu Sheng. This emperor technically did not hold the title of emperor over all of China. Instead, he was one of the petty kings who rose to prominence during the turbulent and disintegrated 16 states period between the 4th and 5th centuries AD, after the collapse of the Jin dynasty. While his term as emperor only lasted for 2 years, this doesn't mean he wasn't as bad as the others on this list. He was called the One-Eyed Tyrant because of the blindness in one of his eyes. Surprisingly, or maybe not, he lost his sight because of an eagle when he tried stealing its eggs. Maybe his actions were a foreshadowing of all the bad things he would do as emperor. Because of his disability, he started banning the words missing, lacking, or less, and anyone who would utter these words was killed on the spot. His ruthlessness was also displayed when he ordered the killing of a few of his officials without any valid reason, aside from the fact that he felt like it. Aside from his cruel nature, he was also not a responsible leader. Fu Sheng would host lavish dinners, consume a lot of alcohol, and listen to the pleadings of his counselors. Most of the time, he would make very crucial decisions while intoxicated, which greatly affected the nation. Liu Yu. In 472, Liu Yu inherited the throne from Emperor Ming. Soon after he sat on the throne, Liu Yu was dubbed crazy and an emperor who lacked virtue. It even got to the point where the people preferred that his cousin Liu Jingsu, Prince of Jiangping, replace him as emperor. However, because of false information, Liu Jingsu's attempt to dethrone his cousin did not succeed, and his army was outnumbered and was ultimately defeated. In 477, Liu Yu was feared by almost everyone. His reputation instilled terror in the people, and he started doing horrible things to anyone. He would travel with his guards and slaughter everything inhumanly around them, including both animals and people. Records show that he would cut open a person and wait until they died. At some point, the guards would leave the palace gates open at night. This is because they didn't want to anger the emperor, who would be out and about all day. This, of course, left the palace defenseless against any possible attacks. The situation was so alarming that even one of his most trusted officials, Ruan, decided that it was better to dispose of Liu Yu than to keep him in power. However, this plan didn't push through after Ruan's plan was discovered. As a consequence, he was executed, and Liu Yu remained emperor. From here on, more crazy ideas came to his mind. At one time, he saw General Zhao Daocheng sleeping and started getting intrigued by the general's belly button. To satisfy his curiosity, he woke up the general and aimed an arrow at his belly. Frightened and terrified, Zhao begged for his life, and with the help of attendant Wang Tianyan, the emperor spared his life, but still shot a pointed round arrow at his stomach. After this incident, General Zhao started fearing Liu Yu and started discussing a plan to dispose of the emperor with Yuan and Shu. In the end, he had to put the plan into action alone. He made sure to talk with a number of his associates, and he also entered into agreements with a number of Emperor Hufai's attendants because there was safety in numbers. Soon after, attendant Yang Yufu cut off the emperor's head. After successfully killing Liu Yu, he delivered the head to Zhao, who then showed it to the palace guards. However, there was no mourning that followed. Instead, the people started rejoicing after the news of the emperor's passing spread throughout the nation. We hoped you liked this video. And hit the like and subscribe buttons. Make sure to enable post notifications and let us know what you think about this story in the comments section. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.